Hey, anyone in here not have their Chapter 5 tests submitted? Okay, tests have been graded. We will go over the tests when we finish Chapter 6. I want to make sure we get Chapter 6 in before we take up class time going over 5. There is no quiz for Chapter 6. I'll post the Chapter 6 test next Tuesday, so you'll have the Thanksgiving break to turn it in by that Sunday, okay? And also, at the same time, I'll post the final, but the final won't be due until some point in final weeks. That just allows you to do the final early if you wish. Does everybody understand that, to get it out of the way? It is cumulative, which means this, for our purposes, it's averaged into your standard grade. However, if your final grade is passing, although your average is not, you pass the class. Does everybody understand that? So you could have an F going into the final. If you get a D on the final, you get a D for the course. If you get a C on the final, you get a C for the course. But that's it. It doesn't go up from there. Does everybody understand that? So passing the final can pass the class for you. Some people, they just need D. D is for diploma. Some people need a C in the class for it to count towards their graduation. Yes?
Is it the same as every other test? Like, it's just PDF or Word document and then we just write on it? And then
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And Chapter 6 will be a bit different in format than the other tests, in as much as Chapter 6 will be multiple choice, okay? And let me start into Chapter 6 and I'll explain the format of the upcoming test, okay? Chapter 6 is about fallacies, and what is a fallacy? A fallacy is a common form of argument that's bad, okay, but it's usually persuasive. And so people have took the time to name all these different kinds of arguments that are bad, so that you can be on the lookout for them. And your job in the chapter test will be to read a passage and determine whether or not there is a fallacy present. If there is, then you're given a choice, and you tell me which of the three options it is. So there's always going to be four options. One option is no fallacy. Another option is, well, it's one of these three kinds. Which one isn't? Everybody understand that? Okay? All right, so remember, an argument attempts to offer evidence, good reasons for believing or doing something, okay? So fallacies in general offer bad reasons or no reasons, okay? And the first fallacy we're going to talk about is a fallacy of appeal to emotion, okay? If someone offers just an emotional plea for you to do this or that, void of any reasons, well, that's not a good reason for doing or believing something. Does everybody understand that? Okay? So, let me give you an example of an appeal to emotions, okay? And because there are all sorts of different emotions, there can be all sorts of appeals to emotion fallacy, okay? So here's the first one. I'm reading passage 108. Are you sick and tired of paying taxes that seem to be going up and up? Doesn't it make you mad as hell that the roads are in disrepair, that there are fewer cops on the beat, that the schools are failing to educate, and that social services are shrinking as your taxes keep rising? Sure you are. So be sure to vote for Sergio Pimentel for city council. Well, what do they want us to do? They want us to vote for Sergio, and what did they do? All they did was evoke the emotion of what? Anger, and then they said, vote for Sergio. Did they give us any reasons why we should vote for Sergio? Did they tell us that he's going to be able to fix these problems or this or that or the other thing? Answer, no. So all they did was an appeal to our emotions, get us worked up, and then said, do this. okay? That's not any good. Does everybody understand that? So this would be appeal to emotions, anger. Now, if the passage went on and said, and Sergio can do this, and he can do that, and he can do it better than these other candidates, then, despite the fact that emotions are being played on, it would be a good argument because there are reasons, right? So it's a fallacious appeal to emotions when emotions are the only thing being offered as evidence and they're irrelevant. Does everybody understand that? So there are some arguments that can appeal only to emotions that are not fallacious because the emotions are relevant. So, for example, you see the starving kids in Ethiopia, for example, and that what? Makes you feel sad and this and that, and they say, you know, you can help feed these kids by donating to so-and-so, so do it. That's not a fallacious appeal to emotions. Does everybody understand that? Okay. All right, so let me give you some examples. Officer, I know I ran that child over with my supersized SUV as I was distracted texting on my cell phone. But you really shouldn't give me a ticket. I have had an awful day. I discovered that my husband is having an affair. He has run up a huge debt on our credit cards, courting his mistress. What is more, that kid's head put a big dent in my front fender. Do you know how expensive it is to repair a front fender like that? So she wants out of a ticket, and all she's saying is what? Pity me, pity me, pity me. Does everybody understand that? So this would be appeal to emotions, the emotion of pity. She's offered no good reasons why she should be let off of the ticket, so it's a fallacy. Does everybody understand that? Okay. And as I said, sometimes emotions can be relevant. So let me read you another one. You tell me what you think about this. Serious violent crimes are sharply on the rise in our area. This happens to include at least 2 serial rapists. Both rapists have been targeting single women living alone. Both rapists enter their victims' domiciles through windows while the women sleep. Women should be very afraid until authorities catch these deviants. Until then, single women should call us, the good people at Fortress Alarms, to receive a free quote on one of our top-flight home alarm systems. We even installed burglar bars for added peace of mind. Call today before it's too late. Fallacy or not? They're appealing to fear, right? What?
Are you in the homework section?
No, I'm on page 120 of the text. After we get through all the fallacies, we will go through the homework, okay? So, look, this is not a fallacy. Yes, there's an appeal to fear, but given that fear, that's a good reason for investigating an alarm system, right? Now, they haven't given us reason to think that their alarm system is better than anyone else's, but they have given us reason that we should call them. Does everybody understand that? Okay. So that one would not be a fallacious appeal to emotion. Okay. Next up, and now I'm on page 121, we're going to do ad hominem fallacies. Okay. Does anyone know what ad hominem means? It means against the person. So in general, the fallacy occurs when someone attacks the arguer instead of their argument. So they attack the person and not the argument. And this can happen in one of 3 different ways. So the first is called ad hominem abusive. So you'll have to be able to distinguish between these 3, okay? I'm reading passage 113 on page 121. Amir seeks a building permit to renovate the old Wilson building so that he can open a bookstore. He says that such a business will help revitalize the old downtown. I don't know about you, but I don't take orders from Muslims. Hell no to his building permit. So, Amir has offered us good reasons why he should be allowed to put a bookstore in. And did the arguer address any of those reasons? No. All he said is, he's a damn Muslim. So he attacked his character, that was it. That's fallacy, ad hominem, abusive, right? So if you think about it, our soon-to-be new president is a master of ad hominem abusive, right? Instead of attacking the person's arguments, their positions, he simply calls them names, right? Crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe, right? And so on and so forth. Those are not legitimate arguments. Those are fallacies, ad hominem abusive. Everybody understand that? Okay. All right. Another kind of ad hominem is what we call ad hominem circumstantial. Okay? This is when you're accusing the person of having an ulterior motive. Okay? So for example, instead of their argument, I'm reading from page 123. The sponsors of the bill to allow fracking all point to the benefits of fracking: more jobs, cheaper prices at the gas pump, and energy independence. So in other words, there's arguments for fracking, okay? But I'll tell you something else they all have in common. All of them represent states with large shale and gas deposits. All the sponsors of the bill hold sizable shares of stock in the companies wishing to frack. This is nothing more than a money grab. The bill to allow fracking should be summarily dismissed. Okay. Did the arguer attack the reasons why we're supposed to allow